Welcome to the Breakaway Show. Today we have a very special guest, Haile McAnally, all the way from sunny Florida joining us. Haile is a conservative leader in the political space, and we're really excited to have her here. She works at Public Square and a number of other things. Thank you for being on, Haile.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to chat.
So you are in, where in Florida?
I'm in the great city of West Palm Beach and excited to be here.
And you had a little event last night, I think, right? Can you tell us about it? Or
I
is it?
did, yeah. The Palm Beach County Young Republicans actually just chartered a new club. So they had an event with Congress and Mast, and it was fantastic getting young people involved in the community and making sure that we win in November and see that red wave.
That's amazing. You've been on a world tour, it seems like, all over the country, going from place to place, going to events. That's pretty incredible. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what you feel in this election cycle? I know we're only about 70 or so days away from the biggest election of our lifetimes.
Totally. So, as a young Republican woman, I think that is where the most ground needs to be made up for Republicans right now. We are facing an uphill battle from the abortion issue to just this war on women, women's sports, women's spaces. And I think that personally, it is so important for us young women to get involved and start using our voices. You look at people like Riley Gaines, who have made such an impact in this arena. And I can only say good things about her. And hopefully one day I can be in her footsteps a little bit, but just going around and really forming those bonds and those connections with young women to know that we're supported. And like I always say, all ships rise. So if we really lock arms with each other, we can definitely make an impact in the 2024 election.
That's great to hear. And Riley Gaines is such an interesting story. I don't know how political she was before all this happened, when she had to swim against Leah Thomas and she took her spot to get that medal. But since then, I mean, she's been a firebrand for the conservative movement. And it's really interesting to see how people in their everyday life, they're confronted with these situations that they have to say something because otherwise they're not themselves. They say something and would you believe it? People actually like what they say and they come from that specific instance and now they become something completely different, which is another leader in the movement.
Yep, absolutely. Her story is actually very similar to mine in the way that she was just living her life. She was just wanting to be a good American and wasn't really political in a lot of ways. I think values-based, yes, but outwardly political, no. And my story is very similar to that. I actually am a personal trainer and a gym owner out in Omaha, Nebraska. And I kind of got swooped up in everything that happened with COVID and the pandemic. And I realized that liberty is so important to myself and realizing that it's important to a lot of other people. So understanding that standing up and actually being a voice in this space is so, so important. It actually encouraged me to run for the state legislature in 2021 in Nebraska. And since then, it has been such this springboard into being more involved in understanding how important our Constitution, our freedom of speech, our rights in every facet are so, so important and so unique to this country that we don't have a choice but to stand up and be political. We have no choice but to be political right now.
And did you find that you were this political beforehand, or did you feel like something was enclosing upon you that you had to start fighting against it? Because that's kind of what happened to me. I was just living my life in Hollywood, doing my thing, and then I saw all of these things happening, which reminded me of exactly when my grandma fled Cuba, communist Cuba. All of these policies were being enacted, especially in California. We have Gavin Newsom as our governor, hopefully for not much longer. But that's what kind of drove me to start making content and talking about these things that I thought were sheer stupidity. Was that something similar that happened to you?
Yeah, actually, I voted for Bernie Sanders. I was an independent. I've been a Democrat, and now I'm a very staunch Republican. I always thought that Democrats were the party of the people. They were the party of women. They were a party of the small person just trying to make it big, of the underdog. That's still a story that resonates massively in my life. And I always thought that the left was that. They were the beacon of hope when the oppressive Republicans were coming in and the grand old party just wanted to suppress women and suppress anything that we wanted to do in this country. And it turns out the more that I saw COVID evolve and how the leadership in that entire agenda was, well, yes, some Republicans did follow along. A lot of that was led by the left. And I think that woke me up going, wait a second, who is the party of elitism? Who is the party of massive control, massive censorship? And that turned out to be the party that I was voting for all this time.
Yeah, I have a similar story. I actually worked in the Democratic Party of California when I was very young on different campaigns and things like that. I was the So now we've gone full circle, and we've not full circle, we've gone half circle. And
Mhm.
now, we're fighting because I'm a classic liberal, right?
Yep.
Like,
Mhm.
let me do whatever the hell I want. Don't tell me what to do. Don't influence me in any way. Let me do whatever I want to do. And this is exactly the opposite what's
Absolutely.
happening now with censorship of freedom of speech and censorship in all these other realms, and then social censorship and self-censorship. So it's like censorship up and down, left and right. Anywhere you look, we can't say what we want to say, which is why I'm so shadow banned on Instagram. I mean, it's actually comical at this point. Yesterday they demonetized me, even though I was already demonetized for like a year, because I posted a picture at the Renaissance Fair of me eating meat, and my caption said, "Eat meat, your testosterone depends on it." So they flagged me for that. So I mean, at this point, it's just comical what they'll come up with. But can you tell me some of the things that you do, kind of because you're on the younger side, obviously, and there's other females that are going to be watching this? Can you kind of show them or tell them exactly what you do and how you do it and how you became to be the person that you are in the movement today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually come from the fitness and pageant world. That's where I came from. And there's one thing that I was always taught from a very young age, and it was 10 seconds of insane courage can change your entire life. So when you see something, like what do they say? See something, say something. If you take the time to actually say it and bring it to the forefront and the attention of people and shed light on it, it's going to massively change the world, even if you think you're just one voice. So as a young woman, I personally, actually, this is a story that's very close to me, and actually how I became pro-life is I had an abortion 13 years ago. And that whole story taught me how pro-woman I am and how anti-woman the abortion industrial complex is. And when you go through those personal experiences and you see absolutely how you get no support and it is an agenda and it's for money making, and you see these things that are so passionate to yourself, like being a woman and femininity and how important being a mother is and all of this stuff, be attacked by something that is on such a pedestal to people that you're supposed to like, right? Like celebrities, like politicians. You see Nancy Pelosi, you see Kamala Harris go out there and just say that women are going to go extinct if we don't have abortions, they're the best thing ever. And understanding that 10 seconds of sharing that story to me changed my entire life, my entire trajectory of where I want to go. And now I get to go around and tell that story and be an advocate for the pro-life movement, femininity, what it means to be a woman right now. A little shout out to Matt Walsh, maybe, and understanding how important being a woman is and how we can really grow from that and expand the positive parts about being a woman, growing a family, having a husband, doing the things that are traditional to the United States.
This is a very interesting topic that has been brought up, especially recently. I know it's Lily Khait talks a lot about this. She's very anti-feminist, but it's a really interesting conversation to have because the feminist movement has taken such a stranglehold on women and young women, especially saying, there's a meme I saw the other day. It really encapsulates what I think this whole issue is about. It says, work for a company and you're not a slave, but work for your husband and your kid, and now all of a sudden it's slavery. So it's really interesting. And I think it's good to have a conversation as what really is feminism? What was it meant to be? And what has it been co-opted by? We know that there's a lot of Marxists that have infiltrated the feminist movement and have moved it progressively forward to now it's not only equal rights for women, but now it's like women could be men, women are men, men are
Yep.
nothing. We don't need them. Let's not procreate. Let's take abortion pills on the stage of the DNC and everyone clap for us. Like, what has happened? It's gone so
Yep.
far progressive to the left.
Absolutely, 100%. When it became anti-man, I am very pro toxic masculinity. I love knowing that there's
Good.
strong men in this world to protect women. I do believe that by nature, that's how our roles are supposed to be. And I'm sure I'll get some flack on that, but it's nothing I haven't gotten flack on before for saying that. And somehow we have believed that because we're a woman, it means that men can't exist. Men, there's not enough space for men to do what they need to do. So we have to take the masculine role, whether it's in corporate America, whether sometimes it's even in our family. Some people don't like to say that, but it's true. And when you have strong men, you're going to have easy times. We've all heard that quote. And so this feminist movement, because they've made tough women now, we're having tough times. And I think that that is really leading to a lot of the problems we're seeing today, from this overly trans movement that we're seeing, taking away womanhood from people, encouraging young women to cut off their feminine parts of their bodies. We're really seeing this attack on women because I think men will make the country better. They will make the country good. And those powers that be don't want that competition.
Yeah, there's a really interesting stat I saw the other day that says something like 63% of unmarried women are Democrat. Then I saw a stat saying about
Mhm.
36% of young men are registered Democrats. So there seems to be this complete opposition in young men and women, pitting them
Mhm.
against each other. And I know feminism is a part of this, but also everything else has to do with this. And I
Absolutely.
think about if the ultimate goal, and we know that they've said this, that we need to depopulate the world.
Mhm.
What better way to do it instead of scaring people into thinking, hey, they're going to make us eat bugs and all this stuff? What if all you had to do was turn man against woman and make none of them want to procreate and make it so expensive to have a kid that nobody would do it? And then you
Mhm.
convince the far left to cut off their body parts and take puberty blockers and then do all these things that'll make them never to be able to have a kid. And then give adulation and approbation of people who are getting vasectomies and abortions at the DNC on that little bus that they had that was free to do. So
Yeah.
that seems to kind of get them where they want to go without having to go all the way. And it's really sad to see that a
Yep.
lot of people have been brainwashed into this cult.
Yep, absolutely. There is a funny thing that happened in the fall of Rome, and the genders got twisted. They got mixed up. When you kind of watch how Rome sort of fell, one of those pillars was that men and women, the roles were starting to become grayed and blurred. And I think we're kind of starting to see that a little bit. And if you know, the fall of Rome happened in 250 years, and the United States is coming up on that. And we hope, I think, by this movement and what you're doing, is slowing that down, is shedding the light where I don't think that civilization had a chance to have a light shed on it. And we can stop this. We can stop it in its tracks by saying truth and speaking in truth and being convicted in truth and not being scared to be canceled. Because once you're canceled, you can say whatever you want. It doesn't matter after that, because at the end of the day, that those are just words, right? Those are words.
What words would you give to a young woman who's going through things and maybe doesn't have a support network to really go out and find these answers, or no one's going to give them a straight answer? What would you say to those women who have been kind of indoctrinated into saying, "Screw men, feminism is a way, fourth, third, second wave feminism"?
Mhm. I would say that trust your instincts, and sometimes those get buried, but they are there still. Women are women, period. That is how we are by nature. We're maternal, we're gentle, we're nurturing. That's who we all are by nature. That's how God designed us, just like he designed men to be strong and protectors and providers. And at the end of the day, when all of us, like I said, band together and we're louder than those that are yelling right now. We can save those girls that are in that position. So I think it's maybe less about what they're thinking and more about what we ourselves can do. Because at the end of the day, myself and this whole young conservative women movement, it's up to us to save those girls that are going through this indoctrination process, because they are being hit by a lot of ammunition and a lot of propaganda right now, and we have it in ourselves to fight, and it's our duty to save these girls that are going through this indoctrination right now.
Very well said. Yeah, there's a very big process of convoluting language to make women think that what is natural and biological really isn't. And I know, I mean, I'm not a woman, but I can sense that if I had this innate feeling that something is supposed to be some way and everyone around me is telling me that that's wrong, that I'm wrong, then I'm going to doubt myself. And if I doubt myself so much that I'm going to look for answers, and who are the people giving me the answers? They're the cult leaders. They're the people at the very top. You know, we David and I go to a lot of rallies and protests, and one thing that is equal across all of them, the only equality that I see in protests, is that people can't speak. These protesters are not allowed to speak to people like myself, like David, on camera. There are specific people in those rallies. Usually they have little yellow vests on, I guess, so the other protesters know who the leaders
Yep.
are. Those people are the ones that come and speak to us. And when you try to talk to them, they cannot speak. And if this entire thing is about equality, freedom, and everything that everything else they tout, why is it that they can't even speak to someone that has a camera in front of them? And when I really first saw that, when I really took that in, I felt sad for these people. I'm like, these aren't individuals. These are members of a, I'll call it cult, but just to be nicer, of this group that has co-opted their ability to do anything and said, this is all you can do. This is all you can be. You can't be anything else because of your skin color, because of your race, because of your gender, whatever it is. And it's really sad that we've gotten to this point. How do we break out of this?
Yeah, like I said, there's power in numbers. And I think the more that we can stand in truth and speak truth, because at the end of the day, they're trying to change language, right? They're trying to, this pronoun thing, they're trying so hard to take truth out of every conversation that almost it, what's that quote where it's if you tell a lie enough, it becomes a truth. But when you tell a truth enough, you stand in that and you change society, you need to change civilization, you change culture. And that's what we have to do. We have the numbers to do it. We have, according to almost every data point, the strength to do it. It's just actually going out there, having that 10 seconds of insane courage and saying it and saying, no, I'm not going to use your pronouns. That's not speaking truth to you. That's not loving you in a way that you should be loved, because affirming a lie is not love at the end of the day. And affirming these things that they're trying to change into truth, quote unquote, it's not loving. It's not how we should be doing things. So we truly have to have that courage and that commitment and that intention to speaking truth in every single thing that we do. We don't
Very
have a
well said.
choice. Our entire country relies on it.
It really does. So take me to the life of Haile. You meet a lot of people, you travel a lot.
Yeah.
What's the sense that you're getting from people that you've been meeting as
Yeah.
far as like
It's a mixed bag. Yeah, I think more or less a lot of the conversations have been around what's going to happen in November. I think a lot of people have this overshadowing feeling, almost like when you're at the top of a roller coaster and your heart's about to drop, that something's going to happen. Maybe it's another pandemic. Maybe it's something with our internet. Maybe it's a power situation, whatever it is. I think people have this weird feeling that something is going to happen. And I truly don't blame them. I think we all have a little PTSD from that. But on the flip side, well, yes, that I think kind of is shadowed a little bit. There's so much hope in our country. There's so much hope because I think people have woken up to the lies. As a former recovering Democrat like yourself, we're seeing Tulsi Gabbard. We're seeing all these Elon Musk and RFK Jr., right? These people that stood so strong in the Democrat Party finally starting to come out and say the truth and having others join them. They're bringing people along because nothing matters except when you go up the ladder, if you bring people along with you. You cannot do this alone. We cannot do this alone. And I think people are understanding that. We have to be united in hope, because that's how we are united and we stand, right? And if we don't have hope, we have nothing. We have lost our country forever. So I think that there is this sense of fight. There's this renewed sense of hope and understanding for how important it is that we save this last beacon of freedom in our entire world. Like, that's a heavy lift. But I think that the energy is high. I think that Donald J. Trump is going to be our 47th president of the United States. I think he was the 46th president of the United States, if you ask me. And I think that we are going to see such a prosperous country that I know that he has planned for us.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about people waking up. And it's beautiful to see because it took so long. The media has such a grasp on people. And to a certain extent, it still does. But people aren't trusting the media. We see trust in the media at all-time lows if you're anything but a Democrat. And I think the stat I saw the other day was that 76% of Democrats still trust the mainstream media, which is just wild. I mean, it is absolutely wild that many people trust what the TV is telling them.
Mhm.
I mean, I wish it was 0%, which would be nice. But
Same.
I think for the most of the country, the more level-headed people, it is heading that way.
Mhm.
So November comes, Donald Trump gets elected. What do you see yourself doing at that point?
I think supporting him. I've thought about running for office again. I thought about how my personal political activism will work. And I think that this is not a stop at November situation. I think President Trump also showed that, picking JD Vance as his running mate. I think he believes in the legacy of the Republican Party, and this fight doesn't end. Actually, I think it's only going to get harder, and it's going to get more chaotic because people are not going to go out quietly, and we know that these people that don't agree with us, they yell, they burn down cities. It's not going to be peaceful, and we have to be the stronghold. We have to be the clear thinkers and the truth seekers in this, and I think that will continue until the end of time.
It really will, because this ideology of death and nihilism, this occult is not going to go away. It hasn't gone away. It's been here the whole time. It's been ruminating. It's been licking its wounds after communism was, I guess, defeated a few decades ago. And now it's back in a whole new form. It's neo-Marxism, identity politics, and all those other occultist things. So I do think it's going to shift. I don't know how much it can shift if you're already having people cutting off body parts, saying that they're not a woman, that they're not a man, that there's some other gender that they invented in their head. it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this. Another thing that I think about a lot is that kids always reject whatever their parents do, right? Most of the time, especially while young. So the kids of theirs, if they have kids at that point, are going to rebel against whatever they're doing. So one
Mhm.
generation down, it's going to flip again where mom, I don't want to be lesbian. I don't want to be gay. That's not cool anymore. My friends are saying, no, I want to play with my friends. And that's something that I really have hope for, that children are going to say, no, that's lame, mom. What? No, I don't want to go to this rally and see this drag queen start singing. That's
Yeah.
stupid. So I hope the kids, if they have any, I
Yeah.
hope the kids do that.
Yes, I agree. I'm a proud millennial. I will own it every step of the way. And when I was younger, the emo phase, if you remember, the emo phase was a big thing. And
Oh yeah.
it's always like, it's just a phase, mom. I so hope and pray that this is just a phase in our country, and I'm the mom, and people are telling me that. That's what I hope, and we can only pray for that. But we just have to, as we're the adults now. I guess there's few adults who are adults than us, but we have to be the ones that guide this next generation into common sense.
Yeah, I mean, we really do, and I won't stop making content. What one thing I know that the Democrats have done is that they, not exactly at this moment, but when they were trying to get power back, they set aside all their differences and they said, let's just come together first, take power, and then figure out things between us. Now, I'm very critical of Republicans and Democrats, everybody. There's a lot
Mhm.
of rhinos in Congress that need to be flushed out, as they say, drain the swamp. So
Mhm.
after Donald Trump wins, hopefully, then I will be going after these people and exposing them, because that's what I do. I hate stupidity. I hate liars. I hate people that go out and say something and then say something else the very next day just because it fattens their pocket. And I don't think that should be anywhere in politics. I think money should be completely out of politics. I love Vivek Ramaswamy saying not only term limits, but 10 years after you get out of office, you cannot work for another lobbying group. Because if you
Yep.
de-incentivize their ability to make money, I would rather have those people go and do that in the private business world. Let them make money in the private business world. Don't suck off the government teat and print money and give it to your friends. I think that's the opposite of what should be have been done. So I will definitely keep calling people out for untruths and lies and everything else that they say. But
Absolutely.
let's just paint a picture here, Haley. And I know this is an
Okay.
ugly picture to paint,
Okay.
but we do have to paint it. Let's say Kamala Harris gets in office. I might be in jail at that point because they already don't like me. So
It's gonna be a
who
party
knows?
though, because we're all gonna be there. So that's all I'm saying.
Yep, yep. I mean, we know France has fallen, the UK's fallen,
Mhm.
Australia's fallen, Canada's fallen. It looks like everyone's looking at America and saying, "Hey guys, can you figure it out? Because then it's going to spread over here."
Yep, absolutely. Totally. And if you actually just saw what happened in Afghanistan, they have once again suppressed women again, so they can't talk to anybody besides their husbands. And they have to cover their entire body, face, everything. And that is coming over here. Even if you look at what's going on in the UK and in France right now, this revolution of that kind of suppressive nature in all facets, not just women, in a lot of different areas and a lot of different demographics, it's spreading. I truly believe this in my heart of hearts, that we are the last beacon of hope in our entire world. And I don't mean that in some dramatic way. I truly believe that's where we're.
So, Haley, can you tell someone who's watching this and wants to get involved, how they could start going about it? What's the first steps that they should take? Should they join a group? Should they sign up for something? What should they do?
Absolutely. Join a lot of groups around the nation are great. Even the small GOP groups, the Young Republican groups are great. You can really find anything, even if you're maybe you're a libertarian. I know that Young Americans for Liberty, fantastic organization. There's so many groups, even groups like Turning Point USA. They have small chapters in colleges and around the United States that are really carrying this movement to equip you, to teach you truth and what actual history is. There's so many young groups, so absolutely join a group. And look at alternative media sources. That's the other thing I learned was very, very important, to understand that the mainstream media is not your friend. They have a very strong bias. They're opinionated. That's their job now, is to share their opinions, and from always, from Fox to MSNBC to CNN. There's not one that's better than the other. And to dive into alternative media sources so you could really form your own opinion.
Absolutely. And can you tell people how to get a hold of you on your socials so they can find you? Because I'm sure after they watch this interview, they're going to say, I need to follow her on some kind of socials.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just at Haile McAnally on everything. I like to keep it simple. And I really just like to promote. I'm very positive, I'm a very optimistic person. I have a lot of hope. And so I share that a lot over on my social media and everyday stuff, but a lot of politics, understanding where our country is right now, where our representatives are right now, and what's going on in different parts of the country.
Amazing. Well, thank you for being on, and we'll have you back very soon.